Food for Life is brought to you by stinkwater.com.
One of the best things about being able to take your food from the land doesn't just come from the greenhouse over there or the vineyard over there. If you set your traps correctly, you can get really good meat. And I'm starting to smell a barbecue here. This guy is a bad boy. Oh man, he broke that PVC. Oh, it's a... Whoa. Oh, crap. Oh. He's nasty. He almost got that trap open. I would have been in trouble. For those who are a little concerned that I'm going to slaughter this hog on Facebook, don't worry, that's not going to happen. But I do have to secure the trap door because as I was approaching the cage, this hog almost got out, and I was wondering how they were getting out. And these animals are pretty smart. What was happening is he was pulling on the release strap that I had. So what I have to do is I have to approach this and actually jam my golf cart right at the opening so he doesn't get out when I try to secure it. So I'm going to try to flip this around so you could see. Okay, so there he is, ready to charge me, but I have to charge him. So he's going to back up, and I'm going to put this right in front, hopefully. Right. Oh, man. That's about 120 pounds. Chomping at his tusks. They're pretty sharp. Yeah. Alright, now that I have it secure, I take my pry bar, kind of jam it in there so he can't get out. And put it low. Yeah, I know. I'm going to feed you, don't worry. I'm going to feed you. Alright, he's trying to get at me. Alright, there we go. He's secure. Woo! Alright, I'm going to feed him real good. I want to be humane about this. Got some nice asparagus. Got some apples. I gotta make sure his water supply is there, so I'm just gonna put this right there. Just throw those in. There you go. There's an apple. I know he's not thinking about eating right now, that's for sure. Let me dump that in. All right. Okay, so this hog is secure for the night, and he's still chomping at his jaws there, so I'm just going to leave him overnight, rest up, and I just want to send a message out to the folks that really cannot understand how anyone could hunt an animal or butcher an animal. Well, if you're going to the supermarket and you're pulling open that nice plastic wrapped pork chop, those animals are being treated a lot worse than this one is right here. And, before we sit down at the table, we thank God for the food that we have on the table. But I'm going to tell you, before we process this meat here, I will absolutely get down on my knees and I will thank God for the food that he's providing our family. And I just want everyone to be clear about that. This is not a slaughterhouse over here. So with that, I will talk to you later. It's now time for us to go and process the meat that we caught in the trap yesterday. I left the animal in there overnight, had a good meal, let him relax a bit. And the reason I do that is because there's a lot of folks in Florida who hunt with dogs. And while you'll get a lot of meat in the process there, it stresses the animal out. As you can imagine, if you had dogs chasing you, trying to bite off your ears, you'd be filled with adrenaline yourself. And that adrenaline gets put into the muscle of the animal, more of a fight or flight mode. And in many cases, it taints the meat. So by trapping the hogs, what happens is it allows them to relax. You could more or less just kind of sneak up behind them and then put them down that way. And if anyone tells you that they get pleasure from doing that, I'm telling you they're absolutely lying to you. This is not a fun time for me, but in the process we are able to feed our families and we're contributing to the local economy. This morning I decided to take the meat down to Wally and Sons, which is located in Chiefland, Florida. Normally I will butcher the animal and I'll put it into steaks and I clean the meat and I pack it and I vacuum seal it and put it in the freezer. But Wally is known for his pork sausages, so I thought I'd try that out. And it's very inexpensive, actually. When you have someone like Wally doing the work for you, he charges about 50 cents a pound. And, you're talking about a lot of meat here. So you're filling the freezer up. And for a family of 2 or 3, that'll be enough meat for months, many months. And so we're going to get on with it right now. Lord, I thank you for this animal and the life that is given us in order for us to have food on the table. May that food nourish our bodies in such a way that it'll give us the energy to move forward in a way that you want us to live and contribute to society in a very fruitful way. Amen. Okay, we are off to Wally's and Sons to have our meat packaged. Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out to you. If you decide to process the animal yourself, it's a good idea to get a big tub of ice, get a container of salt, put that whole container of salt into the ice itself and put a little water in there. And because of the salt, you can lower the temperature of that water below freezing. Believe it or not, you have an outdoor freezer. And you definitely want to chill that meat down as quickly as possible. If you are bringing that animal to the butcher to be processed, then the same thing applies. You don't want that sitting out very long. I have a pickup truck here. It's good for me. Wally's is only 12 minutes down the road, so I can just, boom, load them up and get them out there. These country roads can be pretty bumpy here too, so camera shake, excuse me. And you'll really have a good time with this. Make sure that you clean up after yourself. Make sure you take the clothes that you're wearing, put them in the wash immediately, wash your hands, wear gloves whenever possible, and you'll be able to have a good, healthy meal. So, off to Wally's. Okay, here we are at Wally and Sons. Sam and Nate. And just like that, 60 pounds of Italian pork sausage. Thank you, Wally.